velvet and timber, ships and liquor, even somebody's life. They say everything can be bought and sold in Marienburg. But there's one thing you can't buy here, not for all the tea and ind. Open land. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing talking about Marienburg and the lie of the city. Marienburg is a city of islands, bridges, and canals. When travelers arrive here, usually from the sea or after sailing through the fens on the Reich, the first thing that strikes them is how it rises from the water like some behemoth, safe behind the massive wall of the Vloedmuur, unconcerned with anything around it. The second thing that strikes them is how crowded all the islands are, with every inch taken up by residences, shops, and warehouses, even on the bridges. The third and final thing that strikes the new arrival is the need for a large parasol when traveling the canals under the bridges or beneath overhanging windows. Marienburg's islands are the remnants of the land on which stood the ancient sea elf port of Sith Ryanask Namishathir, fortress of the Star Gem on the sandy coast. The Vloedmuur itself following the outline of the old elven fortress wall. By the time man arrived, nothing but broken ruins remained on the surface, though their foundations provided the base for future building. Why these islands remained above water while the swamp swallowed so much of the surrounding land is a mystery, though scholars of the College of Navigation and Sea Magics have speculated that it may have something to do with elven high magic, the obscure runes of which have been found in the deepest ruins chambers. Nowadays, most of the islands rise up to 20 feet above the canals, though that's less than 10 feet at high tide, and the waters rise even higher during the greatest tides around the spring and autumn equinoxes, and are threatened by only the worst floods. The tallest are found in the oldest or wealthiest parts of the city, such as Oudgeldweek, the Temple and the University District, or Gilderveld. Further out and closer to the walls, the poorest neighborhoods, such as Doodkanal or the Flats, lie on low land and flood at least once a year. Over the city's first 1,000 years, as Marienburg grew from a place of refuge to a fishing port, to a great center of commerce, the people built the island up from the water, facing their sides with stone and filling the interior with earth and rock. Noble families would spend vast sums to add another foot or two, each new layer a visible sign of their power and wealth. Every so often, when the walls had risen high enough that it was time to fill the interior in, the barons of Westerland would command the leveling of all structures and their rebuilding on the new surface. The orders were given that all rooms were to be filled. Many found ways to avoid this, and constructed their new structures atop the chambers of the old. As a result, many Marienburg basements have many Marienburg buildings have basements, sub-basements, and sub-sub-basements, some still in use, others long ago walled off and forgotten, and some connected by networks of tunnels dug by long-forgotten architects. While most are used for legitimate purposes, legitimate by Marienburgers' definition at least. Many are popular routes and bolt holds for smugglers, criminals, and cultists who access them via hidden or forgotten doors in the archaic system of cisterns and flood sluices under the islands at the water's level. The canals are Marienburg's highways, crowded with boats of all kinds. The largest is the Reichsweg, the main channel of the River Reich, which bisects the city, along which most ships pass. Let me just get a drink of water. A branch of it, the Bruin Water, courses between the islands of the Swedock and provides access to some of the city's busiest docks. At the far north, the Nordmuir Canal is a popular route for people conducting business in the commercial and government districts, as it lets them avoid the heavy traffic on the Reichsweg. Contrasted with this is the southernmost channel, the aptly named Dude Canal, or Dead Canal, a sluggish and malodorous waterway choked with trash and sometimes bodies from the worst parts of the city. Evil smells and vapors rise from it, and only those who can't afford anything better, or who aren't welcome anywhere else, willingly live along its banks. Dozens of other canals meander among the islands, some so small that they aren't even marked on city maps. Little more than alleys, these narrow channels lead to the backs of businesses or homes, or to the private lagoons hidden among the overhanging buildings. It's easy for a stranger to get lost among the waterways, named but not marked, so most visitors to Marienburg hire one of the many local water coaches to take them around. Boat handling and swimming are common skills here, so much so that it's an imperial joke that no Marienburger will go anywhere if he can't get wet doing it. Stairs cut into the islands themselves, or built of wood in poorer districts, provide access to the canals and docks. Some, like the Grand Sweep on the Reich side of the Palace District, are broad and open. Others, especially deep within the old quarters like Swedock or the forgotten tenements of the Dude Canal slums, are little more than cuts in the rock, barely large enough for a man to get through. Ill-lit and hidden from view, what were meant to be simple pathways often become death traps for those who have an enemy or two. In a city built upon islands and surrounded by a swamp, it's only natural that space is at a premium. The locals, opportunistic as always, have built wherever they can find a spare yard or two. The gabled roofs of their narrow buildings regularly climb 4 or 5 stories, some leaning so far over the street and canals that they look as if they might tumble down at any moment. Even the many bridges connecting the islands have been built on, with structures hanging over the sides, and sometimes into the span itself. Some of these bridge towns have existed for so long that they have become recognized city wards, with their own characters, personalities, and confusing bylaws. One or two, such as Swedock's notorious 3-penny Bridge, have actually achieved fame outside the wasteland. 2 bridges, though, are kept clear by law. One is the Niederbrook Bridge, the only link between High Tower and the main islands of Swedock, but the more famous is the mighty Hoogbrug Bridge, a spectacular span with arches high enough to let a full-masted ship sail under it, that leaps the Reich Channel from Hightower Isle to the Palace District. At each end is a high tower with a ramp. Sorry about that. With a ramp spiraling around its outside, wide enough for 2 carriages to pass each other. Apart from ferries, barges, or swimming, the Hoogbrug Bridge is the only route between the northern and southern parts of the city, and the Directorate will not let anything get in the way of the free flow of commerce, or soldiers sent to put down a riot in Sweden. While there are no laws against it, nobody tries to build on the Marienburg Swing Bridge, an engineering marvel that pivots on a central pillar to let ships coming down the Reich reach Sweden. After several buildings toppled into the river, people got the idea that living on it was a bad idea. Still, charlatans managed to sell the occasion Marienburg building permit to less savvy newcomers. Surrounding Marienburg, like a mother sheltering her children in her arms, is the Great Wall of the Vlodmuur. This is the city's main protection against the dangers of flooding from the sea and against the possibility of attack from any side. It runs for miles around the perimeter of Marienburg, built on the foundations of the walls of the old sea elf fortress. But the directors have lavished the most money and attention at either end of the Reich, and at the important Oostenpoort and Westenpoort gates. Here, ramparts of stone and great round towers face the entrance of the Reich, known as the Strompoort Gate. In times of emergency, officers in charge of the Strompoort Towers can order the raising of huge chains that have been laid across the bottom of the channel. Within a half hour, a metal fence can block entrance to all ships coming down the Reich, and cannon on the towers ensure that vessels trapped by the chains will be in for a very rough time. At the opposite end, where the Mananspoort See begins, the entrance to Marienburg's harbor is primarily guarded by the fortress prison of Riker's Isle and its cannon and fire-hurtling catapults. Here, the towers of the Vlodmuur are smaller, and the walls are meant more to shelter the harbors of Mananshaven and Elftown, whose ships and marines are vital to the city's defense. In between Strompoort and Riker's Isle, broken only by the imposing gatehouses of Oostenpoort and Westenpoort, the Vlodmuur is more of a large dike, built of packed earth, stone, and wood pilings, constantly reinforced and rebuilt. Brick-lined tunnels pierce it at several points, each built within the base of a stone watchtower. During times of dangerously high tides, residents near the walls can hear the rhythmic thrumming of the dwarf-built pumps forcing water out into the swamp. Each end is guarded by twin metal portcullises to prevent entrance from the swamp, while the city's lamplighters keep a regular patrol on the wooden palisade that tops the Vlodmuur. Marienburg's people and their money. Newcomers to the wasteland and Marienburg often have a skewed view of its people. This is especially true of Imperials, who have trouble forgiving the Marienburgers for seceding in the first place. The easiest mistake to make is to assume that Marienburgers and Wastelanders are the same. Given that the census of 2500 IC counted 135,000 heads of household in Marienburg, and just 15,000 in all the rest of the wasteland. It's an undesirable thing to... it's an understandable thing to do. Wastelanders, though, tend to be more conservative and less open to strangers than their city cousins who, of course, are open to anyone and anything that brings profit. Popular stereotypes in the Empire picture the typical Marienburger as a sharp-witted con man, one who would sell snow to a Kislevite or get a Tylean to buy his own wine. Marienburg documents are said to be 9/10 fine print. No contract is written without an escape clause, and every handshake hides fingers crossed behind the Marienburger's back. You might as well sign over your goods lock, stock, and barrel right now, since you'll never get the better of a Marienburger in a deal. Like any stereotype, it's an exaggeration, albeit one encouraged by Marienburgers themselves, since a reputation for sharpness gives a welcome edge in a deal. Still, Marienburg lives for and by trade, and the desire to get ahead makes wheeler dealers of almost everyone. Naturally, a Marienburger, and a country wastelander to a lesser degree, sees this differently. They look out for themselves and expect others to do the same. It's just hard-headed, practical business. If you don't grab the gold ring first, someone else will. Maybe it comes from the poor nature of the land around them. Living in such a barren place, Marienburgers had to learn to trade to get any of the good things in life. After a while, it became a habit. With this in mind, it's no surprise that Marienburgers are an active people, always on the move. There's always a new deal waiting to be made. Their neighbors in the Empire and Bretonnia say, only half-jokingly, that the Marienburger is always moving about because he's trying to avoid the last chump he swindled. Still, Marienburgers treat the stuffy buffoons of Bretonnia and the angst-laden, dark-garbed grandes of the Empire with amused tolerance. They know who's going to come out on top when the real business starts. Wastelanders use a calendar fundamentally the same as the Empires. The weeks are 8 days long, and there are 400 days in the year, with 6 intercalary days. As a bow to regional pride, or maybe just to tweak the Empire's nose, the city council changed the 6th day from Königstag, King's Day, to Gildstag, Guild's Day. Marienburgers are known to use the two names interchangeably, just to prod any Imperials within hearing. Money is similar to that used in the Empire, too. The city has its own mint located under the Stadtholder's residence, and its coins are recognized as a standard for value throughout the Old World. All Marienburg coins carry the city's seal, a mermaid holding a bag of money in one hand and a sword in the other, on the obverse, and the value and year of minting on the reverse. The gold coin is called a guilder, representing Marienburg's control by its guilds, and is equal to the imperial crown. It is abbreviated to GU, so 7 guilder, 15 and 5 is 7 guilders, 5 shillings, and 5 pence. For clarity's sake, the Directorate ties it to the standard counting system of the Empire, though patriotic money changers claim it's the other way around. As a cosmopolitan city, Marienburg is accustomed to seeing money from many different lands. Most merchants and shops will take coins at their face value, whatever their origin, though they still weigh them carefully. Still, there are always travelers foolish enough to insist on having their coins officially changed at a counting house or goldsmith's shop. The money changer will just smile and charge the standard 19 over on the crown, for it's usually an imperial on the short end of the stick, plus an additional 10% for handling fees. Wastelanders speak Reichspiel with a rapid and staccato accent that easily identifies them from their imperial cousins. The vowels are stretched and the sentences rise and fall in an almost sing-song fashion. More expressive than the Imperials, the Wastelanders talk a lot with their hands, frequently making jabbing gestures for emphasis. At the same time, they won't waste words like a loquacious Tylean or Bretonian. Marienburgers are famous for coming right to the point by point by point, and pointing a lot as they do. Notwithstanding their devotion to the god Hendrick's divine precept of make money fast, Wastelanders are gifted with a wry wit and a keen ability to poke holes in the posturings of stuffy visitors. This appreciation of the absurd includes themselves. Marienburg is a lively theater, and the arts of satire and farce are appreciated even by their victims. All this has led more than one Imperial to dismiss Wastelanders as flippant smartasses, to which a Marienburger will just smile all the way to the counting house. And that is where we're going to bring this video to a close. Sorry it's late, and sorry I keep doing Marienburg, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. I hope you guys are too. If you did enjoy the video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.